Welcome to the University of Money. Click that subscribe button if you enjoy this content. Let's get started with the video. Today's video is what are the main points of criticism against Elon Musk? I'm quite new to the whole SpaceX and Tesla, etc. stuff. The first impression of the guy was actually really positive. He does seem like someone trying to change the world. But I'm usually very keen to always look on both sides of something. So, what are his biggest flaws? How is he worse than any other billionaire? Well, how is he not better than any other billionaire? I understand that there is a somewhat dangerous fandom behind him, and a lot of Musk fanboys really are not capable to see anything negative about him. Where I am standing right now is that he is a overly ambitious dude with a shit ton of money in his hands. But he seems to be really trying to change the world into a better, or at least longer lasting place. And he is doing so in a really refreshing way while being somewhat of a celebrity doing so. So please, change my mind. I know how dangerous blind fandom can be. Has anyone mentioned the fact that he legit called a guy a pedophile and then doubled down to a reporter? That was mentioned several times, and as long as he does not come forward with any proof, which is very improbable at this point, his behavior in this situation was simply idiotic and inexcusable. Here's some of my top points. Point 1. One of my main reasons for disliking him is he stole the company Tesla from Martin Ebert, CEO, and Mark Tarpenning, the actual founders. Basically, what happened is that years before Elon even heard of Tesla, Martin and Mark had been developing an electric vehicle that was meant to have high performance and be aesthetically designed. This vehicle eventually became the Roadster. The founders needed some funding, however, so they went to Elon, who was willing to give them a few million. Elon basically didn't do anything related to the development of the car. Soon the company started to become well known and began getting a lot of positive press coverage. Since Elon didn't actually do anything, the founders never mentioned him in any interviews, which pissed off Elon. Elon whined about it and threatened Martin. After this, Elon would occasionally come visit the people designing the car and make a few cosmetic changes that would set the company behind. Then he would leave for a while. Once the company started to become bigger, Martin wanted to stick to more of the engineering side, brought up the idea of hiring a new CEO. After a lot of shenanigans, Elon eventually became CEO through a series of decisions by the board members behind Martin's back. When Elon became CEO, he decided to kick Martin out of the company. Elon seems to be given too much credit when it comes to Tesla. Many people even think of him as the founder of the company when it was hardly his idea at all. He's listed as a co-founder of the company, but that is simply not true. Point 2. His companies have some of the worst working conditions. When it comes to places to work, working for Elon has got to be one of the worst experiences. In his companies, it is standard to work 80+ hour weeks for less pay than what you'd expect in a similar position. Safety is of no concern to Elon, as he decided that he didn't like yellow safety lines in his factory that led to injuries. Even when injured, the injuries mostly go unreported so that the company appears safer and doesn't get investigated. Elon's also against the idea of a union being formed to protect the workers. Basically, Elon will do anything to reduce prices to gain some sort of competitive advantage. He ignores many of the safety and quality checks that most engineering companies do in order to get things done faster. Ever wonder why SpaceX is so cheap compared to other launch? I'll give you a hint. It's not because of reusable rockets. Point 3, he has dumb ideas. First, the Hyperloop. From what so many have said about the Hyperloop, it's obvious that there's many engineering problems yet to be solved. He wanted to disrupt the high-speed rail industry by proposing that his idea will be faster and cheaper than its competitors. As cool as his idea sounds, it will definitely not be cheaper or doable. The boring tunnel is a joke. I get that what his demo was not the final product, but even if it worked like he originally proposed, it would still be terrible. The amount of people that can be transported by a subway is way higher than what the tunnel could ever do. His elevators into the tunnel create such a bottleneck too that it will cause huge backups to get into the tunnels. When an actual expert in public transit planning called him out on it, Elon said, "You're an idiot." I could keep going on, but I'll stop here for now. If you want to challenge any of these points, please feel free to do so. There's also so many more points that I haven't mentioned that I feel like I've barely scratched the surface. Since Elon didn't actually do anything, the founders never mentioned him in any interviews, which pissed off Elon. Elon whined about it and threatened Martin. From memory, his interference massively delayed the Roadster launch. His insistence on electric door latches and lowering the door seal sent the project team back to the design board at a point where they were almost ready for production. Actually, it was far worse. Instead of giving money and shut up, he wanted to put his mark on the Roadster, over-engineering the car and delaying it for 2 years. The original idea was convert the Lotus Elise with batteries and be done with it. Musk wanted more features, pissing off Lotus, and Tesla had to build their own support network. Musk had already a lot of money, so he could put more money in. But the founders, this means diluting their shares. If this was done intentionally, it's a major scam. I have seen this a couple of times in other startups. It's quite an easy trick to get a startup cheap. Owners are in need of money, so you give it, but demand more features. They need more money, more features, more money. When the company is on the verge of bankruptcy, you rescue them with penny on the dollar and you got the startup. Do a layoff and you can continue without the founders. In short, this is the Elon Musk business method. I think that Larry Ellison guy will do the same to Musk, or they will do it together to the other investors. I agree here. Don't forget the lying. Constantly lying. Ugh. I loathe the liar. I wouldn't call him an overall scumbag. I wouldn't necessarily call him greedy either, as his companies aren't too profitable. The way I see him, he has a vision and wants to have a positive impact. He wants to go to Mars. He wants cars to go green by having electric cars. But most importantly of all, he wants it to be him that does it, and he'll do anything to do it. He'll lie and cheat his way to gain funds for his projects. To be honest, I think a lot of his crazy ideas are just ways to gain attention and get the stock price to go up. Has he done anything positive? That's debatable. Most of what he's made has been done before, so in terms of innovation, not so much. Cheaper rocket launches may be positive, but I'm also skeptical about build quality and whether it is healthy for the space industry. I'm also skeptical about whether the push to lithium batteries is good overall, since there is a limited supply of it, just like there is oil. After you reply, I decided to do some more research into how SpaceX makes cheaper rockets. A lot of my bias for that is the argument over whether reusing the first stage boosters is cheaper than remaking them. From what I've read, it seems to be that the same booster needs to be used at least 5 times to make it profitable, and SpaceX has only been using them twice. With the assumption of that being the only cost-saving measure, it made sense that the reduction of costs came from overworking underpaid employees and cutting corners, which I still believe is true, or they were operating at a loss, which may also be true. However, a lot of people are saying that SpaceX saves a lot of money by making things in-house. So I'm curious about what you have to say about that too. My main bugbears are as follows. Point 1, lying about everything. Whenever Musk communicates to the general public, he lies. He lied about Tesla's finances in 2012-13. He lied about the Model X readiness for production. Did it again for the Model 3. Lied about the cause of rocket failure. Lied about the solar roof. Lied about synergies with Solar City. Lied about having funding secured. And lied about SpaceX profitability. Nothing the man says can be taken at face value. There's too much history. Point 2, he isn't anywhere near as smart as people say he is. A common experience in the technical world is a sudden, deep disillusionment in Musk whenever Musk dips his toe into your field. For me, it was his Hyperloop paper. It was just so riddled with mistakes, misconceptions, and outrageous assumptions, I could no longer take him seriously. If you look around, you'll find many similar stories in automotive, aerospace, energy, transport, civil works, etc. Point 3, he isn't saving humanity. A lot of people excuse the other points by saying Musk is saving the world. On the environmentalism front, any good Musk has done by selling electric cars and solar panels is undone by his private jet usage. A single trip in one of his 2 jets is enough to offset any emission savings from an entire year's sales of Model S, X. If Musk truly cared about the environment, he would travel by commercial airline. Other people point to SpaceX, advancing humanity. This is bullshit. SpaceX is a launch provider. They aren't exploring the universe or conducting any planetary research. Saying that SpaceX is advancing humanity is like saying a brain surgeon's Uber driver is saving lives. SpaceX manufactures and drives the car that brings lunch to the people who actually advance humanity's understanding of the cosmos. Point 4, he doesn't care about people's lives. It's well documented that he treats his employees like shit, and his factories are full of safety violations. But this attitude extends to his products. Releasing autopilot to the public was one of the most recklessly stupid acts in automotive history. Twisting the statistics to claim autopilot is safer than human driving compounds the initial error. Similarly, the recent boring tunnel with no evacuation plan, no fire suppression, no emergency vehicle access. What on earth would we have done if that Model X had malfunctioned down there? Part of engineering is considering all reasonable scenarios and designing your product to handle them safely, or at the very least, developing contingency plans. Musk never seems to consider the possible points of failure and expects the best case to be the only relevant case. That should never be allowed in any case where people's lives are at stake. You have some juicy stuff. Haven't heard about some of them. The Uber driver one is the best. Do you have further reading references to these? He's a snake oil salesman who ruins any good the cars might do by flying around in a private jet all the time. Oh, and he wanted to put people's lives at risk for the sake of a dildo-looking submarine publicity stunt. Thanks for watching. If you made it to the end, make sure you hit that subscribe button. See you on the next video.